Greg, good morning. We find ourselves back at our workshop here, and I have a fantastic vehicle here, probably one of my most favorite vehicles, the Troopy. And this particular one is very special. We put a lot of time and energy and effort into designing this vehicle with our client who owns it. And he's a sailor. He sailed around the world, many parts of the world, and he knows what he wanted, and that helped me. And it gave us the detail we looked for. And there's some incredible features we've built into this truck. I think the Troopy is probably one of the vehicles that gives you an option to really go and travel, two people living in a vehicle and around the vehicle. You can get out of the bad weather, you can get into the vehicle, you can weather a bad storm. When the wind picks up, you're out of it. If you go to high altitude in South America, you want to get out of the bad weather. That's really pretty hectic.
And this is an iconic vehicle. What really makes that Troopy on the bucket list of any Overlander?
I think the fact that the Troopy fulfills a number of needs. You can take a vehicle like this pretty standard. You don't have to modify the body in a big way. People do, and they make great jobs out of it, but you can literally take this standard vehicle, take the roof off, put a pop-up roof on, and then you can add the interior living space. It's tight, it's small, it's compact, but if you actually plan it out properly, and you take each and every little item you need to pack in this vehicle, and you find a place for it, and you make a bag for it, and you find out where you're going to use it, how you're going to use it, when you need it, it works.
And I'm hearing whispers, nothing confirmed, but they might be bringing the Troopy back to South Africa. That would be big for the game, wouldn't it?
That whisper is fantastic news. I really do support Toyota to do that for us, because it's an iconic vehicle. We're a small niche market, Overlanders. And this is probably one of the vehicles that we all strive to get. This vehicle in a 4.2 straight 6 diesel has been around for years. And it's one of the vehicles that you can take into remote parts of the world and you can put bad fuel through it. It's simple. You can find a game lodge who probably has spares in their workshop that they can fix your truck. The guys know it. Yeah, the 1HZ, it's a well-proven, bulletproof motor.
What's the dodgiest fuel you've seen a 1HZ run on successfully?
Mix of paraffin and diesel, in Iran we had really bad diesel that actually wasn't properly refined. It almost looked like Coca-Cola, and when we ran it through the engine after about 1,000 kilometers, the diesel went to like a thick, almost like, not say treacle, but it got thicker and thicker on the dipstick, that after 1,000 k's I flushed everything and changed the oil. Now this vehicle is quite unique because this one's got a different motor in. It's got the 1HD FT motor in. Now that means it's basically got a turbo, factory fitted turbo on this motor. It's got more power. It's actually one of the, how would I say, if you had to choose the best mix you could have in a Troopy, this would be it for the engine that you've got in this vehicle. And a stronger gearbox. And just basically you've got everything you want now. You've got great power, you've got a turbo. I find the 4.2, high altitude, that's a problem. You're going to go to, you need a turbo, you need to fit a turbo. We do fit turbos to these motors, but generally I won't buy a vehicle that has a turbo fitted to it that's aftermarket. Because we
standard with this engine?
On the turbo, yes. On this one, yes. Yeah.
So this must be like hen's teeth.
Well, you don't get this. This is an aftermarket version where someone's actually taken and put this transplant into this.
So this is a transplant engine.
Yeah,
you can't buy it with
No, you can't. No.
I mean, that would be
the
thing of
beauty. It would be fantastic. So I think, the Overlanders always are struggling for a few things. What the Overlanders want, they want simplicity, they want reliability. They need to know that the motors that are being used can take punishment, can take bad fuel, can be reasonably simple to work on, and you can carry the parts and find the parts you need. So that's really what we're looking at when we're looking at vehicles. And of course the Troopy, in my mind and my experience, I've owned a few of them, gives you that all-in-one package. It doesn't mean to say that you only have to live in the car. You can live around the vehicle. Like most vehicles built in Southern Africa and a lot in Australia, you've got the roof tent, you've got the side awning, and you'd climb up and you'd live out and around the vehicle. But it gives you no place to actually go out of the bad weather or out of the rain. So that's what's quite nice.
What's this going to do to the second-hand Troopy market? Because they were very, very, very valuable. But if you can get new ones, is that going to soften the price up, do you think?
Look, the new ones aren't going to be cheap.
No, I mean,
so
but it's going to affect the second-hand market.
I think there'll always be a market for second-hand Troopies, because second-hand Troopies, there was a time when you buy the Troopies and the prices were a little bit overinflated, because those who wanted a second-hand Troopy couldn't actually find a new one, so they were forced to buy a second-hand one, and the prices were a little bit overinflated for what you should pay. I mean, in Australia, you'd pick up Troopies a lot cheaper, and and of course, it's all right-hand drive for us. The challenge is getting left-hand drive. We can't register left-hand drive in South Africa, but you could bring one in if you bought one. I've got a client buying one in South America, left-hand drive, and he'll bring it in on a carnet. We'll build it up for him, and then he'll go and travel the rest of the world.
Is that an issue for you when you can't supply certain markets because of the right-hand drive or left-hand drive?
It's a challenge because, in South Africa, I can buy any right-hand drive vehicle in this country, second-hand, and we can register it for our clients. We can allow them to own a vehicle as a foreigner. So that's very appealing for most people. If you're coming in and you want left-hand drive, and considering Africa's predominantly right-hand drive,
But I mean, supplying countries like Germany, it's more difficult for you not having access to those left-hand drive vehicles.
Yeah. To supply Germany, Germany. A lot of the guys in Germany are now looking at the petrol vehicles. Germany,
is
Germany,
there a petrol Troopy?
We don't see the petrol Troopies.
Is there one anywhere?
Well, I imagine there probably is overseas that the guys get.
With the 4.5 straight 6, that would go beautiful.
That would be very nice. Yeah. So we need to check. I don't know, but for us, the diesel has always been the most appealing. You get a little bit more mileage on it. So it does give us a nice option.
Fuel economy on this engine? We had a viewer interested in that.
Depends on how you drive it. People always ask me, what's the fuel economy? It depends on how you drive the vehicle. If you're driving your vehicle, if a 4.2 and you drive it at about 100, 110 kilometers an hour, that for me is the sweet spot. Because when you drive at that sort of speed, you're actually driving slow enough to concentrate on what's happening around you. And you're not pressing the engine on the revs too highly. So I say when you're driving the 4. Any of these vehicles, even these, you've got a lot of weight in the vehicle. You're trying to keep reliability. You want to slow your whole trip down. I mean, one of the reasons to go and travel is not to race from place to place to place. It really is about slowing your lifestyle down, taking time to connect with yourself, connect with the environment around you, and actually setting a speed that can give you good fuel efficiency and to give you a speed that makes it a lot safer. You also become a lot less tired when you're driving at that speed. You wouldn't think that 10 kilometers more, but you concentrate that much more.
And you miss that much more.
You miss that much more. Yeah, we don't want to miss the flowers.
Exactly.
So,
and isn't smelling the roses what overlanding is all about?
I think a lot of it is for people who wanted to do a checklist, drive from London to Cape Town or from, Panama to Alaska. That for a lot of people was a big checklist. It's fine to do that if you've got the timeline. And I find the sad thing is when people come to me and they say, I want to drive from Cape Town to Namibia, up through Namibia, and I've got 2 weeks. I'm going to see the whole of Namibia. It's crazy. I mean, you're going to be driving 8, 10, 12 hours a day. What for? So far better to slow your itinerary down, see less, see it more clearly, take time to engage with people, because those are the memories that you walk away with. Not all the iconic places you've ticked off. The memories of someone who's gone out there, helped you, someone who's actually been there to support you. You've gone into a workshop and you've worked with the guys on your car and you've shared lunch together. Those memories are what count.
See less, do more.
Yeah, it's I think it's a balance, and I think I always say to people, try and balance out what you're going to do. We live our lifestyles, and COVID's been a great teacher. I think we'll reflect back on this time in history in years to come and go, we learned a lot from COVID-19. It taught us about how distracted we live our lives, how our lives are full of things and stuff, and we are chasing. What are we chasing? We're losing out so much. So now we're actually being forced to slow down, to look more clearly at how we live our lives. And if that can give us more meaning, and you take a vehicle like this and you can go and explore some really remote places, doesn't that give you great value?
Big Six here, ladies and gentlemen, and I've just released my first children's book entitled Mr. Oily and the Runaway Lawnmower. Check it out on Amazon in your country. Catch you next time, Africa Sideways.